Shalom. My name is Joseph Njiki, a student of the Real Life Christian College and Seminary. This is a first semester paper presentation on the two major heresies that faced the early Christian church. This term paper explores the two major heresies that pose significant challenges to the early Christian church: Arianism and Gnosticism. Arianism, campaigned by Arius in the 4th century, questioned the full divinity of Christ, triggering a momentous theological dispute that culminated in the Council of Nicaea. On the other hand, Gnosticism, which emerged in the 2nd century, espoused a dualistic perspective on the material world and the divine realm, presenting a fundamental threat to orthodox Christian beliefs. This paper delves into the historical and theological context of these heresies, their impact on the early church, and the measures taken to address them, including the formulation of key creeds and doctrines. By examining the responses to Arianism and Gnosticism, this study sheds light on how the early church grappled with theological dissent and ultimately shaped its doctrinal identity. Gnosticism emerged in the late 1st century AD among Jewish and early Christian sects, with its origin being obscure and still disputed. The pro-Orthodox Christian groups considered Gnosticism a heresy of Christianity, but modern scholars argue that its theology has Jewish Christian origins, originating in the late 1st century AD in non-rabbinical Jewish sects and early Christian sects. Some scholars debate Gnosticism's origin as having roots in Buddhism due to similarities in beliefs, but ultimately its origins are unknown. In response to the Gnostic heresy, early Christian fathers like Irenaeus focused on the fundamental nature of both the Old Testament and New Testament as the work of the one true God. They maintained the authority of the Hebrew Bible and held to the necessity of observing the Mosaic law. The Gnostics argue that God adopted Jesus at his baptism, refusing his pre-existence or virginal conception. This view was championed by a false teacher named Cerinthus, who lived in Asia Minor and was deemed heretical by early church fathers. So how about influences from Greek philosophy and Judaism and other mystery religions? Gnosticism was influenced by various religious and philosophical traditions, including Greek philosophy, Judaism, and other mystery religions. Some of the key influences are: 1. Greek philosophy. Gnosticism was heavily influenced by the philosophical ideas of Plato and other Greek philosophers who emphasized the importance of personal spiritual knowledge, gnosis, and the pursuit of truth. 2. Judaism. Gnosticism drew from Jewish religious traditions and beliefs, such as the concept of a divine creator and the idea of a spiritual realm separate from the material world. 3. Mystery religions. Gnosticism was also influenced by the mystery religions, which were popular in the Mediterranean world during the Roman Empire. These religions emphasized spiritual doctrines, initiation rituals, and the pursuit of personal salvation. Gnostic cosmology was a central aspect of Gnostic beliefs, and it significantly differed from the Christian teachings of the time. Some key aspects of Gnostic cosmology and its opposition to Christian teachings include: 1. Dualistic view of the material world. Gnostics believed in a dualistic view of the material world and the divine realm, posing a serious threat to Orthodox Christian beliefs. 2. Divine creator. Gnostics believed in a divine creator, but they held that this creator was not the same as the God of the Old Testament. 3. Spiritual realm. Gnostics believed in a spiritual realm separate from the material world, which was considered to be the true reality. 4. Salvation. Gnostics believed that salvation meant understanding the ultimate situation of the individual, including their origin, nature, and how they could return to their divine origin. And 5. Gnostic myths. Gnostics developed myths that explained their views of ultimate reality, which often contradicted the Christian teachings of the time. Now let's examine the beliefs of Gnosticism and Arianism. One, dualistic worldview and rejection of material existence. Gnosticism was characterized by a dualistic worldview, which rejected material existence and emphasized the spiritual realm as a true reality. This belief system posed a significant challenge to the orthodox Christian teachings of the time, which emphasized the importance of the material world and the physical existence of Jesus Christ. The Gnostics held that the material world was created by a lower deity, while the spiritual realm was a true reality created by the supreme deity. This belief system led to the rejection of the material world and the emphasis on spiritual knowledge, gnosis, as the path to salvation. 2. Special knowledge as the means of salvation. Gnosticism emphasized the attainment of special knowledge or gnosis as the means of salvation. This knowledge was believed to be a deeper spiritual understanding that allowed individuals to transcend the material world and achieve spiritual liberation. Unlike the Christian emphasis on faith, grace, and the atonement of Christ, Gnosticism taught that salvation came through the acquisition of secret knowledge about the divine realm and the individual's true spiritual nature. 3. Denial of the humanity of Jesus Christ. Gnosticism also denied the full humanity of Jesus Christ, teaching that he only appeared to be human. This belief, known as Docetism, contradicted the orthodox Christian understanding of the incarnation, which affirmed that Jesus was fully human and fully divine. Gnostics claimed that Jesus was a purely spiritual being who only seemed to have a physical body, thereby rejecting the reality of his human existence, suffering, and death. Obviously, these worldviews had consequences and responses. The potential influence of Gnosticism on early Christian thought was significant, as it prompted the early church to articulate and defend its core doctrines. Irenaeus, an early church father, responded to the Gnostic heresy by emphasizing the foundational nature of both the Old Testament and the New Testament as the work of the one true God. This response underscored the importance of the Hebrew Bible and the necessity of observing the Mosaic law, countering the Gnostic rejection of the material world and their dualistic worldview. The influence of Gnosticism and other heresies prompted the early church to engage in theological debates, articulate its core beliefs, and define the boundaries of orthodoxy. This process ultimately led to the foundation of key Christian doctrines and the development of a more precise understanding of the person of Jesus Christ and the nature of salvation. This effect of Gnosticism on other heresies on early Christian thought thus played a significant role in shaping the trajectory of Christian theology and doctrine. Church condemnations and rebuttals. The early Christian church responded to the Gnostic heresy by condemning and rebutting its teachings. Irenaeus, an early church father, emphasized and re-emphasized the foundational nature of both the Old and New Testament as the work of the one true God in response to Gnosticism. This was a direct rebuttal of the Gnostic rejection of the material world and their dualistic worldview. Additionally, the church fathers condemned the denial of the humanity of Jesus Christ, a belief held by the Gnostics, and affirmed the orthodox Christian understanding of the incarnation, which emphasized the full humanity and the full divinity of Jesus Christ. The role of early church fathers in refuting Gnostics' belief. Additionally, the early church fathers played a crucial role in refuting Gnostic beliefs and redefining the orthodox Christian teachings. Some of the key church fathers who contributed to this effort include 1. Irenaeus. Irenaeus, a 2nd century bishop of Lyon, responded to the Gnostic heresy by focusing on the introductory nature of both the Old and New Testament as the work of the one true God. 2. Tertullian, a 2nd century North African theologian who wrote extensively against Gnostic beliefs, emphasizing the importance of the material world and the physical existence of Jesus Christ. 3. Origen. Origen, A 3rd century theologian also engaged with Gnostic beliefs, particularly the Gnostic rejection of the material world and their dualistic view. He emphasized the importance of the material world and the physical existence of Jesus Christ, countering the Gnostic denial of the humanity of Jesus Christ. These writings and teachings, the writings and teachings of these church fathers, helped to clarify the church's position on key doctrinal issues and contributed to the development of early Christian thought and doctrines. Now we shall take a look at Arianism. Arianism was a heresy that arose in the 4th century and denied the divinity of Jesus Christ. The origins of Arianism can be traced back to the speculation about the nature of Christ, which began in the 3rd century. The doctrine of Arianism was first articulated by Arius, a priest from Alexandria, who argued that Jesus Christ was a created being and not co-eternal with God the Father. This belief contradicted the Orthodox Christian understanding of the Trinity, which affirmed the full divinity of Jesus Christ. Arianism found support in the eastern part of the Roman Empire, where Christianity was less sophisticated and the notion of orthodoxy was not strictly enforced. This heresy also coincided with the mystery religions that were practiced in the region, which may have influenced the development of Arian beliefs. Despite its origins in the eastern part of the empire, Arianism also had a presence in the western part, where it found a second home. Arius and the inception of Arianism. Arianism, a significant heresy that arose in the 4th century, was the product of speculation into the nature of Christ. It was first articulated by Arius from Alexandria, who argued that Jesus was a created being and therefore not co-eternal with God the Father. This belief contradicted the Orthodox Christian understanding of the Trinity, which affirmed the full divinity of Jesus Christ. Arianism found support in the eastern part of the Roman Empire, and the notion of orthodoxy was not strictly enforced there at the time. The heresy led to the unfolding 10 or more heresies, at least with the most varied bearing on the points of dogma. Traditionally, these heresies have been placed under Trinitarian heresies and Christological heresies. The Council of Nicaea, convened in 325, addressed the Arian controversy and formulated the Nicene Creed, which affirmed the full divinity of Christ. The council became ecumenical by acceptance of the Pope and the ever-orthodox Westerns. From this moment, Arianism in all its forms lost its place in the empire. Its developments among the barbarians were political rather than doctrinal. The heresy led to the multiplication of the churches, producing the separatist churches of the Arians, the Nestorians, Arminians, Copts, and Jacobites. Conflicts with the Alexandrian Church. According to one source, there were 3 discrete incidents of sectarian violence that occurred in Alexandria in the late 4th and early 5th centuries of the Common Era. These incidents included the conflicts between the Arian Bishop George of Cappadocia, and the rest of the Alexandrian population, resulting in his death in 361 CE. The conflict between the Christians and the Hellenists, resulting in the destruction of the Serapeum in 391 CE, and the conflict involving Cyril, a Nicene bishop, Orestes, the prefect of Egypt, and the Alexandrian Jews, culminating in the death of Hypatia, the Hellenic philosopher and Neoplatonist, in 415 CE. Political and theological motivations behind Arianism. The political and theological motivations behind Arianism were complex and had far-reaching implications for the early Christian church. Arianism, a heresy that arose in the 4th century, denied the divinity of Jesus Christ and constantly challenged the Orthodox Christian understanding of the Trinity. The motivations behind Arianism can be understood through a combination of theological, social, and political factors. Now let us look in depth at the beliefs of these two heresies. The denial of the divinity of Jesus Christ. The denial of the divinity of Jesus Christ was a central tenet of Arianism, a heresy that arose in the 4th century. Arianism, named after its proponent Arius, challenged the Orthodox Christian understanding of the Trinity by asserting that Jesus was a created being and not co-eternal with God the Father. This belief strongly contradicted the Nicene Creed, which affirmed the full divinity of Christ. The theological implication of Arianism led to the significant doctrinal disputes and the formulation of key Christian doctrines, particularly in response to the Nicene Creed. Subordinationist Christology and the Son's inferiority to the Father. Subordinationism is a theological belief that the Son is inferior to the Father, which was a central tenet of Arianism. It was a heresy that arose in the 4th century, which concerns Jesus' continued state of being a man, 1 Timothy 2, verse 5, by which he lives forever to intercede for us as a high priest, Hebrews chapter 6, verse 7, and chapter 7, verse 25. Subordinationism was a characteristic tendency in much Christian teaching of the first 3 centuries and is a marked feature of such otherwise Orthodox fathers as Justin Martyr and Irenaeus. The belief that the Son is subordinate to the Father was partly influenced by Greek philosophy, which emphasized the transcendence of God and the idea that he exists beyond the normal physical level. The subordinationist Christology was developed in Logos Christology, which explained Christ as the divine Logos of Greek philosophy, a mediator between the high God and this world of change and decay. While subordinationist Christology was rejected at the Council of Nicaea, the belief that the Son is subordinate to the Father has persisted in some Christian traditions, particularly in some Protestant Christian denominations. The impact on Christology, on Christian theology, and the concept of the Trinity. The influence of the mystery religions on Christianity, the Christological controversies in the early church, and the conflicts within the early church shed light on the profound impact of heresies on the development of Christian theology and the concept of Trinity. The Christological controversies in the early church, as explored in the essay Christological Controversy in the Early Church, demonstrate the significant impact of heresies, such as Arianism and Gnosticism, on the understanding of the Christian doctrine of Christ in the first centuries. These controversies led to the articulation and defense of core Christian doctrines, the development of a more precise understanding of the person of Jesus Christ, and the formulation of key Christian doctrines. Consequences and responses. Athanasius and his defense of Orthodox Christianity. Athanasius was a prominent bishop of Alexandria and a leading proponent of Nicene Christianity. He vigorously opposed Arianism and became known for his unwavering defense of the Nicene Creed, which affirmed the full divinity of Christ. Athanasius' theological writings, particularly his orations against the Arians and on the Incarnation, articulated the Orthodox position on the Trinity and the nature of Christ, countering the Arian belief and the subordination of the Son to the Father. His defense of Orthodox Christianity and the Nicene Creed was instrumental in shaping the concept of the Trinity as it is understood in Christian theology. Athanasius' influence extended beyond its immediate historical context, as his theological contributions and defense of Nicene Christianity left a lasting impact on the development of Christian doctrine and the understanding of the Trinity. The eventual decline of Arianism and its impact on church history. According to one source, the Council of Nicaea, convened in AD 325, reaffirmed the Nicene Creed and once again condemned the Arians. Despite these efforts, much of Christendom during that period was Arian, including the Vandals of North Africa, the Visigoths in Spain, and the Lombards in Italy. The reasons for the eventual decline of Arianism remain elusive, but they likely include the fact that the Arians were never a united front, and the fact that the Athanasians, using Greek philosophy, devised cogent, rational arguments to support their position. The decline of Arianism had a significant impact on church history, as it led to the emergence of Orthodox Christianity as the dominant form of Christianity in the Roman Empire. The councils of Nicaea and Constantinople played a crucial role in the formulation of key Christian doctrines and the establishment of a clear statement of faith that emphasized the divinity of Jesus Christ and the concept of the Trinity. The decline of Arianism also contributed to the emergence of ecclesiastical and empirical politics, dragging theology into wrangling, rancor, vindictiveness, and sometimes persecution in the Christian church. In conclusion, the two major heresies that faced the early Christian church, Arianism and Gnosticism, had a profound impact on the development of Christian theology and the concept of the Trinity. These heresies challenged the Orthodox Christian understanding of the nature of Christ and the relationship between the Father and the Son. The response to these heresies led to the articulation and defense of core Christian doctrines, the development of a more precise understanding of the person of Jesus Christ, and the formulation of key Christian doctrines. The influence of these heresies on early Christian thought played a significant role in shaping the trajectory of Christian theology and doctrine. The Council of Nicaea and the formulation of the Nicene Creed are pivotal, or were pivotal, in shaping the foundational beliefs of Christianity and promoting unity within the Christian community by establishing a clear statement of faith that emphasized the divinity of Christ and the concept of the Trinity. Athanasius' defense of Orthodox Christianity in the Nicene Creed was also instrumental in shaping the concept of the Trinity as it is understood in Christian theology. The study of the two major heresies that faced the Christian church provides insight into the profound impact of heresies on the development of Christian theology and the concept of the Trinity. The response to these heresies led to the formulation of key Christian doctrine and the establishment of a clear statement of faith that emphasized the divinity of Christ and the concept of the Trinity, ultimately shaping the trajectory of the Christian theology and doctrine. Shalom.